My name is Lena, and I grew up in a quiet little town where almost everyone knew each other. Life there moved slowly. The streets were calm, small houses stood close together, and people greeted each other every morning at the local bakery. Many people loved living there because everything felt safe and familiar. But sometimes I felt that the town was too small for the dreams inside my heart. I was 16 years old, and most people thought I was a quiet girl. I didn't talk much in class, and I wasn't the center of attention. I preferred peaceful moments alone, especially when I had my sketchbook in my hands. Drawing had always been my favorite thing. Since childhood, I loved turning empty pages into something beautiful. With a simple pencil, I could create mountains, faces, forests, or even imaginary worlds. When I was drawing, everything around me felt calm and silent. Time passed quickly when I was lost in my art. But there was one thing I rarely told anyone. I dreamed of becoming an artist. In my imagination, I saw myself in a bright studio full of paintings. Sunlight came through big windows, colors covered the walls, and I spent my days creating art that made people feel something deep. It was a beautiful dream, but I was afraid to say it out loud. At school, most students talked about practical careers. Some wanted to be doctors. Others wanted to be engineers, lawyers, or business owners. They spoke confidently about their futures. When these conversations happened, I usually stayed quiet. Part of me believed my dream wasn't serious enough. One afternoon, something happened in art class that changed everything. Our teacher entered the classroom carrying a stack of blank papers. "Today," he said with a smile, "I want you to draw something personal." The class became quiet. "Draw your dream," he continued. "Draw the future you hope for." I stared at the empty paper in front of me. My mind was full of thoughts. I knew exactly what my dream looked like, but I wasn't sure if I had the courage to draw it. What if someone laughed? What if they thought it was childish? After a moment, I took a deep breath and picked up my pencil. If this was about dreams, I wanted to be honest. Slowly, I began to draw. I sketched a young woman standing inside a bright art studio. Paintings filled the walls around her. The windows were open, letting warm sunlight fill the room. The woman held a paintbrush and looked peaceful and confident. That woman was the person I hoped to become. While I was drawing, I forgot about everything else. The classroom noise disappeared, and all my focus stayed on the picture forming on the paper. When I finished, I felt both proud and nervous. Soon, our teacher started walking around the room, looking at each student's work. Some drawings showed hospitals, offices, or tall buildings representing future careers. Finally, he stopped beside my desk. He studied my drawing carefully for several seconds. My heart started beating faster. Then he smiled. "Lena," he said softly, "this is beautiful." I blinked in surprise. "You have real talent," he continued. "Have you ever thought about studying art seriously?" Before I could answer, I heard quiet whispers behind me. One boy laughed. "An artist," he said. "That's not a real job." Another student added, "Artists don't make money." Their words weren't loud, but they felt heavy. The confidence I had felt moments earlier slowly disappeared. Maybe they were right. Maybe my dream was unrealistic. Our teacher frowned slightly but didn't argue. Instead, he gave me a small encouraging nod before walking away. But the whispers stayed in my mind. That evening, I sat in my bedroom looking through my sketchbook. Outside, the sky was painted with soft orange and pink colors from the setting sun. Page after page showed drawings I had made over the years: faces, landscapes, animals, and imaginary scenes. Looking at them felt like reading pieces of my life. Just then, my mother gently knocked on my door. "Lena, dinner is ready," she said. When she saw my sketchbook, she smiled and began looking through the pages. "These are beautiful," she said. I hesitated before asking the question that had been on my mind all day. "Mom, do you really think someone like me could become an artist?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she sat beside me and looked again at my drawings. Then she said something I will never forget. "The most important thing," she said gently, "is not whether other people believe in your dream." She placed her hand on my shoulder. "The most important thing is whether you believe in it." That night, I sat by my window thinking about her words. Believing in myself might be the hardest thing I would ever do. But as I opened a fresh page in my sketchbook and started drawing again, something inside me felt stronger. Maybe my dream deserved a chance. A few weeks later, something unexpected happened at school. The principal made an announcement over the loudspeaker. "This year our school will join the National Young Artists Competition. Any student may submit one original artwork." My heart started racing. A national competition meant students from many schools would participate. Professional judges would choose the best artwork. The idea excited me and terrified me. After school, I sat in my room staring at my sketchbook. Suddenly, I noticed every small mistake in my drawings. Maybe my art wasn't good enough. Maybe it only looked good in a small town. That evening, I didn't draw at all. My mother noticed. After I told her about the competition, she listened quietly. "Do you remember learning to ride a bicycle?" she asked. I nodded. "You fell many times," she said. "But you kept trying." "Because I wanted to learn," I replied. She smiled. "Dreams work the same way. You must keep moving forward, even when you feel afraid." Then she said something simple but powerful. "You don't have to win. You only have to be brave enough to try." The next day at school, our art teacher reminded us about the competition. "You have 2 weeks," he said. My heart beat fast. Then I slowly raised my hand. "I would like to enter," I said quietly. My teacher smiled. "I'm glad to hear that." For the first time, I felt something stronger than fear: hope. During the next 2 weeks, I worked harder than ever before. Every afternoon I sat at my desk and focused on one drawing. It was a portrait of a girl standing in front of a mirror. In the mirror, she looked confident and strong. But outside the mirror, she looked shy and uncertain. The drawing showed something very personal: how we often see ourselves as weaker than we truly are. When I finished the artwork, I stared at it for a long time. Instead of seeing mistakes, I saw courage. The next day, I submitted it to my teacher. "Thank you for sharing this," he said proudly. 2 weeks later, The whole school gathered in the auditorium for the competition results. My heart pounded in my chest. The principal began announcing the winners. Third place. Second place. Then he paused. And first place in the National Young Artists Competition goes to. The room became silent. Lena Park from Riverside High School. For a moment, I couldn't move. My teacher touched my shoulder. "That's you," he said with a smile. The room filled with applause as I walked slowly to the stage. Everything felt unreal. Only weeks earlier, I had been afraid to even admit my dream. Now I stood on stage holding a golden medal. But the biggest victory wasn't the award. The biggest victory was believing in myself. That evening, I returned home and showed my mother the medal. She hugged me tightly. "You did it," she said. I smiled. "No," I replied softly. "You helped me believe I could." Later that night, I sat again by my window. The town outside looked the same as always. But something inside me had changed. I understood that dreams don't grow from confidence. They grow from courage. And sometimes, believing in yourself is the first and most important step toward making a dream come true. Because when you finally trust your own dream, even the smallest town in the world cannot limit how far your future can go.